your impressions, positive, negatives for us, particularly Warzone 2.
I don't know. I think it's going to be cool. I think it's going to be fun. I think a lot of like stuff that people were kind of complaining about almost got fixed already, or like talked about being fixed. I didn't have too many negatives other than the bots and the time to kill, but I don't want to be negative about it because I haven't played the game. You know, like
yeah,
I don't want to.
You played it
A
for 2
reasonable
hours.
answer.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another Bot Lobby podcast episode. I'm Grandmaster GOJJ, as always, joined by the wonderful Katie Bedford, and couldn't be more excited about our guest today. It's been a little while, Katie. It's been about, I think, 10 days since our last upload. People have been waiting. People have been watching. They've been talking. They've been asking questions about who the next guest would be. And today's is a banger.
Yeah, this is actually someone we've wanted to have on for a long time. Really, really excited to hear their opinions. They've got some of the most experience in the COD scene of a lot of the people historically we've had on so far. So I'm really excited about it. But you know what, Coach? I would say I miss you. I talk to you almost every single day. So that's really fit. But
Sure.
I miss doing the podcast with you. So I'm excited that we get to rock it now with our guest.
Yeah, no, and we had a chance to raise a ton of money for charity with Fall Guys yesterday, which was super sick. But
It was like $65,000 or something.
Stupid amount of money. It was awesome. But today we're talking Warzone. We're talking Call of Duty in general, and we have an amazing guest. As usual, Katie, I like to intro our guests, but I think this one, it just makes sense for you to probably take the intro, considering he's respectfully about 20 feet away from you or so, maybe through a wall. So how about you take the intro on this one?
Yeah, he is right over there, but it's none other than Crowder, Atlanta FaZe's head coach. This person, as I said before, is incredibly storied in the history of competitive Call of Duty professional play. Won a W champs with Denial, went on to be the first ever person to not only win champs as a professional player, but also win it as a coach alongside Atlanta FaZe, which has been I would say dynasty adjacent team for the entirety of its life together under his guidance as head coach. So truly a storied career, and brought over that energy to Warzone. Has competed in the initial opening of Warzone. It doesn't compete quite as much anymore, but is still one of those staple people. You're going to know who he is. Of course, we were talking with him just before we got into this, and you're going to be playing with the legs of Tim the Tatman, Cloaksy, plays with Teep all the time, and really one of those staple faces. So very excited to bring on Crowder.
Yeah, let's bring him in right now. Crowder, my man, you're on the main stage. How's it going, my friend? I feel like it's been a long time coming.
It's going well, dude. You know, just playing Warzone, gaming, streaming. I'm excited to be on the podcast. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, man, it is. We've been wanting to have you on for a long time. Of course, Katie talks about you all the time. I've been following your journey through all different types of things, but obviously even in the Warzone side for a very long time. So we're excited to kind of get one of our first perspectives, I think, kind of that covers end-to-end Call of Duty. You kind of just are Call of Duty at this point, it feels like. So you got an opportunity to give us some eyes and ears from all across the board. What we usually do on the podcast after our intro is we ask some rapid fire opening questions. Okay, we're gonna hit you with a couple questions, like 6-7 questions, and you just give us the first thing that comes to mind. Okay, it can be just off the top of your head, one sentence or one word answer, even about all different types of things. So we'll run through them really quick, and then we'll get started in our normal interview section. All right, I'll start it off, and then Katie, you go next, and we'll go back and forth. Who is your favorite person to stream with?
Stream with anyone from BTB. So Merc Maven, Mason, and Teep.
Heck yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's
Makes
so many
sense.
M's. Oh my god.
Coach, I'm trying to think. Do we want to do the second one, or do we want to just skip to the third?
Yeah, let's go third for sure.
Okay. Favorite streaming moment?
Ooh, when I dropped 40 with Nick Merckx for the first time, with the first 40 bomb, or one of the first 40 bombs of Warzone with Nick Merckx.
Ooh, that's a good
Yeah,
answer.
like back in the OG days. I love that.
Yeah.
Favorite meta of all time in Warzone?
Favorite meta? Oh my god. The original meta. What am I saying? The M4 and MP5. Like the original Verdansk meta, like literally when it first started.
You talking no stock or?
Yeah, like the no stock M4 over. Yeah, easy. That was so fun.
Favorite competitive moment?
Favorite competitive moment? My first ever tournament win with Zuma in the Call of Duty Ghosts UMG. I forget what it's called. Dallas, I think. But yeah.
Damn, I was really thinking I was so sure you were just going to say your champs win, but.
Nah.
All right, there we go. I like that, actually.
Do you have any? Actually, really excited about this question. I'm gonna skip to it, Katie. Do you have any like game day rituals? So before either coaching or competing, you're like, I'm wearing the same socks every time. Like, what is your thing, if any?
No, honestly, I don't really have anything.
You just roll
think,
out of bed and rock and roll.
Yeah, kind of. To be honest with you, like, yeah, no, I think throughout my entire career, I guess when I was younger in my career, I always used to have strawberry Pop-Tarts or cherry Pop-Tarts. But like that was just because I needed food, and that's usually just what I had at the gift shop. But yeah, that wasn't like a consistent thing though. That was like the closest thing to consistent, I'd say.
I gotta say, that is just the most stone cold killer answer I've ever heard. Everyone has something, and you're just like, nah, I'm just there. We make it happen.
Yeah, not really. Yeah, no. Every once in a while I have some Pop-Tarts, but that's about it.
All right. Do you have a favorite Warzone competitive format?
Ooh. Favorite Warzone competitive format? I like customs personally, with the right multipliers and the right rule sets.
Duos,
Like, not the customs.
trios.
Yeah, I think trios. I think trios is the best. Trios or duos for that is the best. But yeah, like with an actual rule set, not like anything goes kind of thing with claymores and stuff.
Yeah. I feel you on that for sure. Hardest loss that you've experienced?
Champs in World War II. Like getting eliminated from that.
All right.
Yeah, definitely.
Respect.
And if you could, all right, we've gotten some weird answers on this question, so I can't wait to see what you hit us with. If you could do any dream brand deal right now, who would it be with?
That you could say, of course.
Dream brand deal. Oh my gosh. I don't know. I guess like if we're talking like big like picture, like like Nike or something like that, that'd be cool.
We get
That'd be
that a
crazy. Yeah, I think Nike would be awesome.
Yeah, you peek behind the curtain. We get Nike and things like that, Nike adjacent often, and then we've also gotten Viagra. So I mean, it's really just across the board.
Yeah, no, that, and then if we were keeping it in the gaming space, it'd be like any kind of PC company. I think I've always wanted to work with a PC company eventually.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Certainly, all the peripherals and just straight up PCs would be awesome to work with.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you kind of, I guess, keeping us intrigued with some of those answers. That was great. A little backdrop on it. Well, Katie kind of gave you the intro, right, of like your history. And I think there's a lot of people in the community, from even the CDL side community or from the Warzone side, that may not know your whole story. And I don't want you to necessarily monologue for 45 minutes about, your entire story, but I would like to get a peek behind the curtain before we really get into the weeds with some of our questions and opinions on like, where did you get your career started? Like you started in a completely different sphere to some degree, to where you are now with a different name even. So give us a little bit of a background on Crowder and you in particular.
Okay. All right. So I started my career as replays. Like that was like my gamer tag back in the day. And I started in Call of Duty 4. I was 13 years old. I never really played first-person shooters very often. I was more into like Final Fantasy and like Kingdom Hearts and a bunch of other stuff like when I was younger. And then I think it was 7th grade. I was like 12 or 13, and I went to my friend's house, who's also a pro, classic, like the Pro Player Classic. And he had Xbox Live and Xbox 360, and he had Halo and Call of Duty, like the whole thing. And I ended up playing, I think it was Halo for the first time there, online, like first-person shooter. And I was like, yo, I need to get like online gaming so I can play with my friends, the whole thing. And I like fell in love with it. And then I ended up getting an Xbox 360 for Christmas. I got Call of Duty 4 when I was like 13. I fell in love with Call of Duty, played it a bunch like for the first year in like 2008, I want to say, and like got pretty good. I found out what Game Battles was. Had replay, so I kind of where replays became a thing. I had to get my gamer tag, so I was all cool and I could fit in, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then I played a bunch of GB matches and just like matches against other people. The competitive like drive kind of like, took that over from there. And I just hated losing and always wanted to win. So I'd always like make other teams, try and find teammates and stuff. And then eventually I ended up, funny enough, a lot of people might not know this now, but one of my first ever teammates, like in a tournament situation, my first ever tournament, it was the New Year's Bash. It was called New Year's Bash on Game Battles, and it was me and JCap. That's how I met JCap.
Oh,
really?
Wow.
Yeah. So I've known JCap since I was about 13 or 14 years old. Yeah, he was my first ever like legitimate teammate for a competitive thing, and we got 5th out of like 64 teams. And then the PCLs happened and stuff like that. I teamed with JCap a lot for a couple of those, and kind of just found teams through that. And then like fast forward through a bunch of like professional play at the lower, like at like just like it wasn't as big back then. So like being a pro back then was like if you got like top 8 or you made the playoffs and stuff. So like we were pros there, and then we got invited to like nationals, which was actually in California. And then that's where like my career kind of got weird for a little bit. So right around the end of Call of Duty 4, beginning of Modern Warfare 2, my team got invited to like the national tournament in 2009, and that's like when I actually became like a good pro player. And my parents couldn't really afford to send their 13-year-old or 14-year-old kid to California because they wanted to go too, because they didn't want to send me by myself. I was too young. So it was just kind of expensive, and they didn't really believe in like what it was. So I didn't get to go to that tournament. And then I kind of like played MW2 online professionally, but the same thing, I couldn't really travel. So like I played some, and I was like on and off. I'd play, and then I'd take like 3 months off, and then I'd play, I'd be good, and kind of going back and forth. And then Black Ops 2 came out, like fast forward. I still played Call of Duty a bunch, but like I never like really went to a lot of the events. And then Black Ops 2 came out. I got myself a job. I was like 17 or 18 years old at the time. And I got a job, got my like money that I could do and all that stuff. I competed in like the online qualifiers. I placed really well. I was on VVV. They covered our hotel room, and then everything else was on us. I used all the money that I obviously had saved from my job to fly there. I slept on like the floor under a chair, like in the room, like in the corner. And then I got 3rd place there. And that was like the changing moment for my career. It's like once I got 3rd place at that LAN, which was like a big major, I'm pretty sure it was Dallas. I think I brought home like $1,200 or $1,700, like a check. And I showed it to my mom and my dad. And that's when they were like, oh shit, like, you're not joking. Like you're actually good at these games. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, like, wow. Like, you know, like, cause I would tell them like, I'm actually really good. So I ended up kind of having that moment with my family, my mom and dad. I had the job. And then like from there, I think I went straight from VVV to FaZe. And then after that, like I kind of just went through a bunch of different teams, and then my whole entire competitive career for there is like so on and so forth. And then, so that's basically the gist of like how my career started.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of my career, when I switched to Crowder, I switched to the Crowder at the very like last moments of my competitive career. And it was because there was another FaZe replays that was in FaZe with me. And as I got older, like a lot of people said he stole my name. He really didn't, because I knew him since he was in SOAR and like teams beforehand. And we always joked about if we were on FaZe together, what would happen. But as I got older, I always like wanted people to see me, and like people would say replays, and I wouldn't respond all the time because I could never like respond to my alias. I know it was weird. I never like fully responded to my alias like in person a lot. And then so like I got better. Like I just wanted to change my name, and all my friends in high school, throughout middle school, high school, sports teams when I was younger, all call me Crowder. It's my last name. So I wanted to just kind of have my alias to be Crowder, and it was just me. Like if you say Crowder, like I just respond. It's just like it was easier.
Yeah.
So I kind of took a risk and like made that jump towards the end of my career just because I wanted to just get it over with. And I knew like at first it would kind of hurt my brand because a lot of people won't know who the hell I am anymore and all that. And I kind of just stuck it out. And then I think that's like when the transition to coaching Call of Duty professionally happened. And then I had a relatively successful coaching career, so that made it a little bit easier to establish like Crowder as a coach. So,
I want to pause you there. Really well done, by the way. It sounds like you've probably told that story before, maybe a number of times, because that was brilliant. I didn't even need to cut you off or ask any more questions. It was a great recap. And
actually the whole story.
It was awesome.
In one.
It was perfect. Yeah. That's exactly what we were looking for. And I think one of the things that stood out to me in that too, and then I know Katie's got a follow-up question on that, is this idea of kind of like parent support in the growth of esports in general, right? Like there has been a number of people we've had on the podcast that had the similar story. It's like, I have to prove to my parents this is real. But once I made that first paycheck, that was actually real money. Right. They were like, oh, okay, we now see how we can support you in this and actually let you do this. And then on the flip side, we had somebody like Hisoka, who's a recent Warzone kind of come up, and his family's been cheering him on as well, like pretty much since he started in the gaming space, because it is a lot more like, I guess, concrete now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Huge now.
So, Katie, I'll let you ask your follow-up, but it's really cool to hear that side of the story too.
I think my favorite part of that, I had no idea about the JCap, JCap thing. That is so fascinating that your first ever teammate was also the only other person following you this year to have won champs as a pro and to win champs as a coach, that would still be you and Cap. Stuff like that is always so weird to me when you look at it, years and years and years down the road. But I do want to keep focusing on the transition to coaching. What was that like for you? Because I know at every point, whether you're a pro player, whether you're a competitive Warzone player, you get to a point where competing comes to an end. And a lot of times people take a lot of different avenues, right? You can have Zuma going over to do the flank. You go on to be a highly successful coach. So what was that transition like for you when you realized you were at that point?
Well, my career, like the coaching was weird because I realized I was at that point twice. I kind of like got tired of competing like a little bit earlier in my career. Like right after I won champs, I retired the first time and like, kind of went through like 1 year of kind of just chilling. And I played a lot of Call of Duty, still like search and destroy and all that, but like I didn't really do too much. And then like I was a coach back then, but I didn't really count that because you weren't allowed even to spectate. But I came back out of retirement, and then like towards the end of that run, like in Black Ops 4, it was more or less like not really enjoying the aspect of competing more. So it wasn't like a huge shock to me or like a huge thing where we were like, all right, I felt like so like damn, like I have to retire. Like it was more or less like I almost wanted to.
Yeah.
And then coaching, to be honest with you, I didn't really know what I was gonna do when I retired. It was just really easy. It kind of fell into my lap. Like I've always been known as like the leader type role, the one that yells at his teammates the most. Like just that kind of role. So when I retired, or we didn't qualify for the league in Black Ops 4, and then I retired. Even if people don't know this, but I talked to Priesta at that event. Even if we qualified, I was retiring after that anyway. I didn't want to even play in the league. Yeah. So I didn't really want to continue competing that much during that time. So I retired, said I don't really want to do anything. I want to stream. I love streaming. That's like my favorite thing to do. So I figured I was just going to stream a lot and hope for the best, to be honest with you. And then 100 Thieves ended up calling me and saying like we can do something with like a loan with your contract with FaZe and all this stuff. Like you can come coach our team. They were kind of in shambles at the time, and it was like a consistent job with stable money that I needed. So I was like I'll do that and then stream on the side, whatever it takes, and I did that. So that's kind of how that all happened. But it was more like I was like kind of jumping into retirement like with a smile on my face, to be honest with you. I was like kind of excited to like do it because as awesome as competing can be, there's also a lot of other stuff that brings like more stress, not in a terrible way, but like I was just kind of over it and I wanted to do like more stuff that I enjoy doing a little bit more like on a daily basis. So
yeah, that's also interesting because I think there's a lot of people that didn't have the same story as you. They were either forced into retirement through whatever happened, or kind of found themselves out of kind of necessity having to retire. And the fact that you were able to kind of choose that with a smile is a huge deal, probably from a mental aspect as well as just in general from a kind of career aspect. But and I think this kind of perfectly transitions to the next topic we wanted to talk about, which was you've got this full-time coaching gig. But you also stream a ton and you make a lot of content creation. And I can only imagine that is very difficult to do both. Like, talk to me, especially because you one of the things you said was that streaming is one of your favorite things to do. Like, talk to me about that balance. Like, how difficult is it really? And is it something that like you've been having to kind of tweak and mess with to try to make it work?
It would. So the balance of that, to be honest with you, there is no balance. Like, just to be completely honest, like for the first couple of years of my coaching and streaming, like at the same time, I was pretty bad at balancing just my time in general with a lot of stuff. I've gotten better at that since I've gotten a little bit older and I figured it out a little bit more and just have other priorities and stuff. But yeah, I mean, for the first 3 or 4 years, I started in the East Coast, which this made it a little bit more easy in the East Coast. I'd wake up around like 6 a.m. stream until like 1-ish, then scrims would happen at 2, and then do scrims and all that stuff. And then usually at the end of that night, either make a YouTube video, stream again, or go to bed. And like that was kind of like constantly rotation over and over. And then I moved to California, which I'm still here now, and I just did the same thing, but just that 6 a.m. turned to 3 a.m. Like everything just turned back.
Yeah.
So I just woke up at 3 a.m., streamed for like 5-6 hours, and then coached for 5-6 hours, and then either streamed again or made a YouTube video or just went to bed. And that was kind of the balance. But there wasn't that much balance. And then like as I've gotten older, and stuff like that. Lack of balance like took a toll on like, you know, relationships and other stuff outside of just friendships, the relationships with me and my girlfriend. Like it was just like a lot of like not having time. And then I've gotten way better at taking days off and mentally resetting and stuff like that. So I've gotten there. But yeah, to be honest, there wasn't much balance there. And now I just take days off, and then like, you know, days where me and Emily are both off from work, we, you know, have a night to ourselves and actually, you know, try and just escape the whole job thing and everything like that. So it's been much better. But yeah, at first there was definitely no balance. It was tough.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking and laughing because I think I think anybody in the content creation space, regardless of whether you're working a full-time job and doing content creation, have that issue of like, how do you balance time? Because there's always something to do. Like, you're not just working a 9 to 5, you're not working an 8 to 10 even. You're working a 24-hour job theoretically, and when you're not working, your brand's probably not working for you either. So balancing both of those can be super, super difficult. But it's been cool to see you kind of like navigate that, and it's good to hear that it's a lot better now. I feel that heavy, especially as somebody that's also, I mean, I'm like I said, decent bit older than you as well, and Katie and I have been feeling the kind of grind start tolling on us much more than when we were 16, 18, even 20. So
like, I'm old. You don't have to tell everyone I'm old.
Look, I know I'm the old one. I'm the old one.
Yeah, no, it was hard, but like I think a big reason why I've gotten much better at it though too is like my girlfriend has helped me tremendously, like through like just learning how to balance just life. You know what I mean? Like I can, if anyone knows me like on a personal level, like I can get really stressed really easily. Just with like, and like, but like when I get stressed, I usually like extend myself more to like do more. Like it's like I don't like shut down. It's like the opposite. And like, yeah, she's been a huge factor in like my happiness of just like, you know, letting my mind like calm down and just be a person. Like, yeah, no, she's been a huge help for that too. Like in my opinion, that's been like huge for me.
Yeah, I'm definitely the same way. Once things get stressful, I buckle down and turn everything else off and try to get as many things done as possible. So my efficiency.
That is a more productive way. I mean, to be fair, that's not the worst way that you can handle a stress like that. So.
Yeah, I suppose too. But hey, Katie, we wanted to kind of continue forward with streaming, content creation, and then even just Warzone in general. Crowder, you kind of were and are even still, but especially early Verdansk, you really became a staple of the Warzone community. So talk to me a little bit about early Warzone, what you saw in that from a streaming content side, but also even competing early in that.
So I didn't compete too much in early Warzone, and to be honest with you, a lot of the times I didn't just because like I kind of wanted to just have fun with the game. And every once in a while I would compete. I never really took it very seriously. Like I would just like have some fun. If my teammate and or I did bad, I would laugh it off. I would never really like it was never like too serious. But I just love Call of Duty. Like even like when I retired the first time, I streamed Call of Duty every day. Like I just love Call of Duty. And then Warzone came out. I was playing Blackout with Teep, Merc, and Maven like every single day. And then I just transitioned to Warzone because it was a new BR at the time. It was fun, and I had a lot of fun with that. I think just streaming that like was awesome. And then like there was just so much that like kind of happened with all of that year. Like actually to start the Warzone year, I was in California. My internet went out completely. With COVID, everyone was home, and I had Spectrum at the time, so like you don't like I didn't have fiber, so like I couldn't even stream. So I had to move to Atlanta for like 6 months during that to even like pursue like that part of my career. And then like it kind of just took off. Like I competed in some tournaments, but I think the biggest break for me, to be honest with you, is like having such supportive friends that like helped my stream grow during that time.
Sure.
Like I was able to I met Symphony, Teep, Merc, Maven, like all those guys have helped me out so much. And then I ended up being able to play with Nick Mercs too, and dropping the 40 bomb and playing with him. And like, again, he's another guy too, that like, no matter how big his stream is, he's always super supportive of other people. So like he helped my stream out a lot. And then like, I kind of just did that, just did my thing, just streamed it. So, and like, just fell in love. But yeah, I think just like the love of Call of Duty and just like the love of streaming mixed with like the timing of Warzone getting big, like big part of that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, and it seems like then competitive was never really in the forefront for you, right? It was there if you chose to engage with it, but that wasn't ever really a focus.
It was never like a big focus for me for competitive Warzone, only because like I've done so much competing basically for like almost like 12, 13 years where like I never really took the Warzone side of things too seriously. And so it was never like a focus. I would do it here and there, but I never consistently did it. But there's also what you guys talked about, balance. it's very hard to compete in Warzone seriously because I don't play Warzone at that level nearly as much as like some of the super talented streamers nowadays. Like I get on for 4 or 5 hours, but then I got to go coach. So like if I have a huge Warzone tournament and I'm playing really well, I have to coach the team. And it's like, do I sacrifice at the time, especially with no assistant coach or anything like that? Do I not coach my team to stream? But then like, why am I getting paid to coach? You know what I mean? Like there was very like a lot of weird things like to kind of deal with if I did stream it. So like I never really got to play a lot of tournaments, even if I wanted to. So like I kind of just like took my foot off that and like didn't even tempt myself, you know, too much. So
sure.
It was like sometimes I'd want to, but I couldn't really either way. So like I kind of just did like some content in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, that can be hard when you only have so many hours in the day, right? And there's priorities that you have to decide upon. And it seems like that's exactly what you were able to do. But I want to talk a little bit more about Warzone specifically. You have a unique perspective in this, and in the sense that we've had people like Rated on before, former pros, and they are able to look at Warzone through a professional lens that a lot of competitive Warzone players can't, because that's just not the background that they came from. So I want to start with something light, and I'm sure you saw it, but a little while ago, Repulse decided to do something you've been doing lately, which is stir the pot on Twitter. You know, just send out a tweet that is a little weird, a little wild, and it caused this whole dust up of this debate about CDL pros and Warzone, competitive Warzone players. I was always curious to know what your thoughts are on that, what you saw, and the differences therein.
Okay, so I didn't see his tweet, but let me look it up. But yeah, so the differences with like Warzone pros and CDL pros, like I've always, this has been like kind of talked about for a while. I don't know, like the differences between those guys and stuff aren't too crazy in the sense like obviously you know there's gun skill involved, you shoot, like I think like people like Diaz Biffle are extremely talented, you know, like when you do the comparison. So like I've never been one person to be like, oh, it's CDL pros are just way better than Warzone pros, period. Like it's like there is a certain aspect of like what it takes to be a pro that like Warzone just isn't, like in any way. Like they're like the communication alone is like completely different. The play style is completely different. Like again, a lot of the tournaments that you were successful in Warzone, it's 2v2 kill races. Like I say, like it's probably the most that's probably the most tournaments you see, right?
Sure.
And like that's as like competitive as that could be, it's like it's also shooting against people that aren't really shooting back a lot of the time. So it's like, how can you kill bots? But then like when the people actually shoot back, like what happens? And like customs, even like you use that as an argument, it's still like a different kind of play style. So like, I don't know. I think there are certain Warzone pros that are actually incredibly like super talented, and if they really did put their heart and soul to going pro, I think some of them could be pretty successful. But at the same time, like I think it's super underrated of like what it takes to be a CDL pro. And I think that also kind of gets like overlooked because so many people on that side of the argument say like, oh, he could just be a pro if he wants to. It's like having teammates and how down to a science the CDL really is that like people can't understand unless like you're a part of it is like really underrated, and like you don't see it or overlooked. And then like I can talk about this forever, by the way.
we love your insights.
That's why I asked.
I always use it. Like, there's a lot of people that competed in the CDL challengers, and like they were good, but they weren't stand out good. But then they play Warzone and they're really good. And it's just because like they're really, really talented and they are incredible at shooting their guns and all that stuff and slaying out in Warzone lobbies. But like when it comes to the teamwork aspect and the timing and the clutch factor and the communication and the teammate and the dedication and all of this other stuff that goes into it, it's extremely hard to succeed. And it's also something that you can't also rely on just yourself. You have to have a really good sight of who you pick on your team, why they're on your team, are they the right role? Like there's just a bunch of stuff that goes into it. So like, I think it's a super unfair comparison, to be honest. And like, I respect both sides. Like I look at Diaz Biffle. He's like my favorite person to use in this. I think he's incredible. I think he is one of the most great shooting people that you can play, including CDL pros. I think he's insane. I love him, and I do think he's one of the people that could go pro if like he put his heart and soul into it. But like, that's just like, why would he do that? You know, like I don't know. Just like respect him for what he is, and like let him do his thing, and then like that's it. So I don't know. Like I like stirring the pot with that stuff too. I've done it, but I truly think like I just have respect for both people because it's just like a totally different game at the end of the day. But,
Yeah.
like some are super talented, and then I don't know.
That was a hell of an answer, is what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
that was
I usually
great.
have thorough answers on everything, so sorry if that's too long.
No, it's good. It's really good. It makes our job so easy. This is why we brought you on. We don't need to hear ourselves talk. It's exactly what we want. I think like one of the things you said there that it could be kind of summed up as like it's the intangibles, right? There's different skill sets there. So and there's so many intangibles in CDL that none of us on the outside could even think about. And it's the same for like professional sports too. Like you might have a guy that can run insanely fast and run the craziest 40 ever. Doesn't mean he's going to be a great NFL player, right?
Yeah, dude, it's like, bro, there's just so many people. Like even like what people don't understand is like hardpoint in general alone from like S&D. Like there is just so many times I've seen in the challengers world. Before Warzone was a thing, this was always my take on challengers players too, or amateur players. Some of them are some of the most talented people you'll ever see. Like some of them shoot. Like even when I was a pro, I would always like joke around, and be like, "Those motherfuckers." Sorry if the curse or whatever. Shoot faster, shoot straighter than I'll ever will. But like a lot of them won't really make it, and it's not even to sound egotistical or anything, but like it's solely due to like their attitude. You can just see it like so clearly. Like that is just not going to ever work in the CDL in a team environment. It's just never going to work. And unless like you're truly like gifted to a point where like you're one of a kind, like that's never going to get you anywhere. And it's like that's like just how I view like Warzone to CDL. It's like there's so many people that are so talented, and then you put them in like Warzone, their talent is going to destroy everyone in those lobbies. And even maybe in the Warzone playstyle, it's even better. But like in the CDL, it's just like totally different. So it's just so hard to compare. But yeah, no, there's a lot of pros I've seen play Warzone that aren't that elite at Warzone. But like it's not because they're like not talented. It's just like a totally different style. And then like you've seen people like Rated and Tommy that come over and just destroy the competition for the most part. Obviously, people compete with them, and it's just because they're good and they're pros and they're really talented and they're good at that. So I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So.
Time in and chemistry is usually what it comes down to, and those certainly influence
that's a big
both.
thing too. And people always say like as well, like like, oh, why wouldn't Diaz Biffle just go play CDL then? Like I'm like, why the hell would he? Like he's turning on a stream to 7,000 viewers or whatever.
So much
like,
more lucrative.
Yeah, and it's not, and even money aside, like again, what I said before, being a CDL pro is also super stressful, and it's not a bad thing. And it's also like a lot of people's passion and career, like it was at mine, like at 1.2. But yeah, like there's a lot of stress that goes into that too, and you can't really stream and create content when you do that. So it's also like, why would he do that? It's like, I don't know. I just like the way I truly look at it is, I just respect people that are good at Warzone, and I respect people that are good at pro play. Like I don't know.
Yeah. I love it.
It's as simple as that to me.
Yeah, I love it. Well, let's talk a little bit about kind of meshing those two topics together. Let's talk a little bit about CODNext, and specifically kind of Warzone 2 and Modern Warfare 2. And Katie, I'll kind of let you take this one away, but wanted to hear just general impressions from the event.
So the event was awesome. That was one of the coolest like creator events I've been to. And I've seen. It was really cool to have like, I think, what was it, like 200 creators or something of the sort. Like it was really cool to see a bunch of creators. I met a bunch of creators that I haven't met yet. Like we've known each other through Warzone and all this other stuff or other games, but I never really got to meet them. So it was cool to meet people. The event was awesome. The setups were cool, and the game's really fun. So the event as a whole was awesome. I enjoyed it. And then do you want me to talk about like MW2 and all that stuff? Or?
Yes, that's where I was going to lead into was your impressions, positive, negatives for us, particularly Warzone 2. But if you want to mix in MW2 multiplayer, obviously do that as well.
No, I'll leave the multiplayer alone because that's where I get super passionate in the CDL world. And, we'll leave that alone. That's for another time, maybe.
Sure.
But for Warzone 2. I know they just announced, I think this is people in my chat say this, so I don't know if this is fully true, that they're bringing back loadies. Are they bringing back loadouts and stuff like that?
Tweet something about something.
They were playing around with it. I think from behind the scenes, what I have heard is that they essentially had a switch of like, hey, if people wanted it, we can make it happen. If they don't want it, we don't have to have it there. And the rumor on the street is that I think they will be bringing this back to some capacity.
All right, so I just wanted to know that before I said anything. So like, we played Warzone 2 for about like an hour or two.
Yeah.
I think I played one full game and a half a game. I think Teep's audio is messed up, but like it was fun. I think the map in general is really good. Like that's the one thing I said from the start, which is the map seemed really fun. It looked really cool. It looked like it had cool POIs. I like Caldera. I'm not a huge Caldera hater, but peak being this high and everything else being this low is the dumbest thing of all time. And like having to constantly run up peak and stuff, those fights are really annoying. So I didn't see much of that in the map. So it seemed really good. And the things that I didn't like was the amount of bots, AI bots need to go. I think they already said that potentially they're toning them down. I don't know if that's true, but there was a lot of times where I was fighting a team and then like a bot would just run into my house and be like, oh shit, like I'd shoot him and I'd be like, oh no, that's not a bot. Now I have no ammo. And then someone would slide in and it's like, what the hell's going on?
Right.
So I think that was a big negative for me. And people were talking about the time to kill as like something that's like, frustrating. I think the time to kill is a little fast right now for a battle royale. Like it's just the way it can be played out is kind of like super campy, but that's something that's adjustable. So like, I'm not super upset about that. They adjusted it in Warzone. I think before I took a break with Warzone, they actually upped the health, like the base health, and then they have Iron Trials and a bunch of other stuff. So like, I think there's a lot of potential. I just think they're kind of using some of the feedback and stuff to go back. So I liked it. I thought it was fun. I'm going to enjoy it no matter what, most likely. I didn't have too many negatives other than the bots and the time to kill. The ground loot and stuff, I'm not judging all of that because like,
we already knew that they had said that things like that were going, what we had at that event was not already what they had planned for it to be on release.
Exactly. So I don't know. I think it's going to be cool. I think it's going to be fun. I think a lot of like the stuff that people were kind of complaining about almost got fixed already or like talked about being fixed. So I'm super excited for it. I think it's going to be a pretty fun time. I think the whole entire map being good is my most important thing for me. Yeah. I think that is like the most important thing that you can have in a battle royale is the map being good and playing out well. And I think that's going to be exactly that. So I'm happy. I'm excited. Yeah. I don't have too many negatives yet, but I don't want to be negative about it because I haven't played the game. Like I don't want to.
You played it.
What a reasonable answer.
Yeah. Like I don't know. Like I feel to have a strong opinion about something, you need to be not an expert, but at least relatively educated on the topic of like what you're doing. I haven't played the game enough to have a strong opinion, but from what I played, it was fun. I think some things need to be changed. I think they will be, and I think we'll be fine. So,
well, I wonder, because I heard this from a number of people, of this idea of kind of taking parts back from Blackout. You talked about playing a lot of Blackout before coming into Warzone. Did you see some of those similarities, maybe with the looting systems or anything that you were like, oh, this feels like home, or it feels weird, or anything like that?
So the looting system was the biggest thing that I noticed that's like very like Blackout with the backpacks and all that. I personally don't love that looting system. I also don't think it's the end of the world. So a lot of people were saying like it's super clunky and super annoying. And even for me, it was very clunky and annoying, but it's because I'm not used to it. And I use like one example a lot when I talk to my chat about it. Apex Legends. Apex Legends is one of the fastest paced games you can ever play. All this other stuff. The looting in that game is clunky as hell until you play it for a week, and then all of a sudden you're armor swapping in a blink of an eye, right? So it's like the same thing in Blackout. Like Blackout was clunky at first, and then you can go in and out of that bag within 2 seconds and be done. So like I don't think the looting would be as annoying if you had more than an hour to play the game. So I'm again not really judgmental on that yet. It did feel like Blackout. I didn't really like it at first just because I haven't done it in so long. Yeah, that's something where like when that happened, I didn't even like think about it twice. I was like, oh, if this is what it's going to be, I'll be good at looting in a second. If not, like, not the end of the world. But I do think the Warzone looting system currently is just better because it's just easier. Yeah, like you don't have to like. I think a lot of times I try and like look at it from like a casual player like doesn't play a lot Call of Duty point of view. I don't want to have to go through a backpack and do this and do that and do all like this other stuff. I feel like that can be confusing. So I think the Warzone currently is a little bit better, but regardless, I don't think it's the end of the world if we have to go through a backpack to loot. Like I don't know.
Did you notice the intuitive looting of like cash and cash registers, guns on shelves? Like, was that something that was like, oh, this is kind of cool? It felt like a gimmick, or was it actually like, oh, this will make sense for like the longevity of the game?
I mean, I don't know. Stuff like that, personally, I just think is unnecessary. I'm not like a huge fan of it. Like, I don't think I need to go to a cash register to get cash, but it's cool. I get it. It makes sense. Like, so I understand now where to find more money, but I don't think that has to go as deep down to that. Like, I guess the one thing I would say more on like the negative side, but not like terribly, is just That reminds me a lot of like Tarkov, kind of like the DMZ,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that
Right.
mode.
Yes.
And I'm not a huge fan of Tarkov just because I haven't played it enough. But I feel like with Warzone being so fast paced and it was so popular, I feel like trying to like make it more like a game that's not really related to Warzone is kind of weird to me. I feel like that's like the weird part. I think it's like kind of cool, but I also think it's just like not that necessary, you know, like to make the game fun and like the longevity of the game. Like I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I could be wrong. I again haven't really played too much. I guess when I haven't played the game at all for the first time and they told us that, when I did need heals, I knew where to go. You know, like
Sure,
I did
sure.
know where to go. So technically, if you don't really, you know what you're doing and you're playing the game for the first time, it does make sense. So maybe, but we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be. I'm very interested to see. Once again, we know even the quantity of loot available. I think all of these things are not final form from what we saw at CODNext, and I'm sure
Not even close.
yeah, they have been taking a ton of the feedback and will be adjusting accordingly. I agree with you wholeheartedly. The map is my favorite part of Warzone 2 from what we've seen so far. The map, and they've said it's their biggest map yet, specifically designed explicitly for having it be a BR. And I really love, yeah, that there is no, love Peak. Peak's great, but happy that we're moving, moving
sucks.
beyond, moving beyond Peak.
Fair.
But okay, so this is another question we get a lot of mixed answers on, and I'm curious to know what yours is the topic of, will we see ranked in Warzone 2? Do you think we should see ranked in Warzone 2? Because you're someone who says, I want to be here, I want to play Warzone and have fun, but there is that itch to compete in whatever sense. Would you want to see ranked where you could kind of get best of both worlds while you're playing with Teep and Maven and everyone else?
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind that ranked should be in. I don't know if we will get one. But I think ranked, no matter what, I think ranked will always add an incentive to play the game for people that want to play the game like, a little bit more sweaty, or you want to try a little bit harder, you want to play people at your skill level. And I think for the longevity of any game, like I can use Apex as an example. Like Apex, if Apex didn't have that ranking system, I don't think it would be as popular as it is today. Like I think people would have gotten bored of it, rightfully so, because it's very hard to keep anything alive for 5 years or whatever. But I just think like having that ranked system reset and constantly like trying to get to that #1 rank or the highest rank is like so important for the longevity of the game, and it makes it competitive. And I also think like it's fun to do that sometimes, like not every day do you want to get on and just like kind of just run around aimlessly with like no objective, like for like some of the sweatier players, I guess, like for myself. So I would love to see ranked in the game, and I don't get to compete too much. I'm hoping that I get to compete more this year with like my schedule that I worked out with my team. So I would love to just be able to get more practice in like more serious situations, because the one thing I would say, I guess, for competitive Warzone is it's a big scene. I'm more CDL. I'm more like in the CDL world, obviously, but the Warzone competitive scene, there's a tournament every day, especially in the beginning of Warzone 2. There's a tournament every day. You got streamers that have 5, 6, 7, 8, 20, 50,000 viewers playing them, right? Like depending on the tournament. Like it's a big scene, but you don't really get to practice it. And that's the weird part for me. It's like, I would love to, again, like maybe not have custom games because it's hard to get 150 people that to play a custom game to practice.
Yeah.
Like, so ranked would be the perfect example for that. It's like, it'd be fun to hit that highest rank and have that, like, that purpose to play here and there. And like, I think it'd be cool, like in the sense of just like being able to practice in that form. And like, then you want to go for your clips and your gun loadouts, clips and stuff like that. You do it. Like, it just adds another section. And I don't think that hurts anyone, right? I don't think that hurts casuals because casuals don't have to do it. I don't think it hurts sweaty people because they can do whatever they want to. Like, I think it's just a balance of both. So I don't know. I think it needs to be in. And I think it will be. I don't know though. I have literally no idea if it will be. I just feel like with just how competitive Warzone can be and like the Iron Trials coming out and all that stuff, like I'm really hoping that's like something towards a ranked system. So I'm praying for it. I would love nothing more than a ranked system to play every once in a while and have fun with it. Because right now I play other games just because there's a rank system.
Yeah.
Not even because I like
Yeah.
the game.
Yeah.
Like literally, just because there is a rank system.
And there's a rank system in nearly every other game that is even kind of called a competitor of Warzone, if you will, right? Like, I mean, I remember too. Like, I think the thing that a lot of people kind of talk about when casual side is like, oh, casuals don't play as much ranked, dude. You know how many people grind League ranked or Valorant ranked or whatever to get to plat or diamond or whatever. Like, you don't have to get to the very top for rank to be really entertaining and kind of feel that reward of grinding. I also would like to see something else besides, oh, I just dropped another 50 bomb today on the timeline. Like, let's have some comp.
Exactly. And like, that's the thing too. It's like all those 50 bombs and it's like, oh, well, you got an easy lobby, this lobby, that lobby. Like, it just, I don't know. It's like, you could do that every once in a while when you want to, and that's cool. But I just think it would be so cool. Again, even when those custom tournaments happen, and I don't even say I'm not even playing them. I love watching like a custom tournament get like towards the end, and there's 6 teams left in the circle, and it gets really crazy. Like, that's really fun to watch, and it's definitely a nice change of pace. So you'll be able to choose between that gameplay or just running around and having fun with your friends, and you can do a little bit of both. And like, I think that would just be a really good addition to Warzone in general. So I hope so. I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah, I totally agree. Great question, Katie. I think I want to skip one of these 2 questions and go to our last question of the day. We've been going for a decent chunk of time. I want to let Crowder go continue his stream. This is an interesting one and a bit more nuanced. You have had a ton of experience on LAN. LAN play is different than online play. It's just a simple fact. With the coming of Warzone 2, and I think from what I am hearing and what I'm assuming, there's going to be a lot more Warzone events in person coming down the line over the next couple years. Do you have any advice for people that have never played on LAN before, Warzone or otherwise? But is there something that is like different that you need to know going into it, or is it just like, hey, good luck, get some experience, and you'll be fine?
I mean, what you just said at the end is like, get some experience and you'll be fine. Like, people say this might not be agreed with by everybody, but like, all the people that say like LAN is so much different, it's not. It's the same exact thing. Like, it's like, of course LAN is different in the sense like you're in person, like in the CDL world, you're on a main stage, there's thousands of people yelling and all that stuff. Like, and it's like a little bit more of just not your comfort of your own setup, but that's really the only difference. Like, a lot of the times, like especially with nowadays, like with online, like you get a pretty decent connection for the most part. Obviously some people play from like, you know, UK or something, that's a little different. But like, outside of that, like it's the same thing. So like, when you're playing on LAN, like just don't overthink it. Like, you know, whatever you do in your home setup, you do there. Like, just play your game and have some fun. Like, a lot of it's more nerves. Like, if you see people underperform on LAN, a lot of the times it's just because like, it's just like their mental is just that they're a little nervous, they're trying too hard, they're trying to do too much. Like, it's just very easy to get like that. So like, I think the biggest thing is just like have some fun with it and just try and treat it like you're at home, you know, like it's not that it's not that much different. Like, I promise. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's the best way to do it. Cause I promise you, playing on LAN and playing online, like obviously there will be times where your ping is high and that's annoying, but it's not like significantly like, oh my God, like my controller moves faster on LAN. Like, nothing changes. It's the same game. Like, same game, the same equipment, the same stuff. So it's just like, have some fun with it. Don't overthink it and just do your thing and you'll be fine.
That's a great, I think that's such a great answer, and one that we haven't asked anyone else before. So I'm really glad you were able to give us such a detailed answer. But we also know, I think, as you just had a Teep raid swoop in, that we have about kept you to time. So I have a final question for you. What is next for Crowder? What is next for Chris? What is on the horizon? What should we be expecting to see from you? Looking forward to in the months ahead?
A lot of stuff. I would hope so. So like I kind of mentioned before, this new season, this new Warzone 2, I'm hoping to compete more. I don't know if I'll be able to be competing in everyday tournaments every single day of my life. Just like, that's just hard to keep up with being a CDL coach. But I'm hoping to compete in some of these like tournaments and like try and have some fun and like, you know, scratch that itch a little bit of just like playing a little bit more serious. I think those custom games tournaments are fun. So like having like a squad and trying to find a squad and go from there will be like definitely something I'm going to look into and hopefully get and like have some fun with that. So that's definitely on the horizon for like Warzone 2 and then content and all that stuff. And then other than that, just trying to get like my merch going, and I'm trying to get a controller with Battle Beaver right now. So like, there's a bunch of other stuff that I have in the works, which is good. But The main thing for me is, yeah, I just want to play Warzone 2, do a lot of streaming, do a lot of content creation, and then again try and win some of the tournaments when it comes out and have some fun with it. I haven't taken
Heck yeah.
anything. I haven't been able to take anything serious in a competitive environment in like literally 3 or 4 years. So it'd be fun to like try and get like a little squad and try and win some of these tournaments. So I'm excited.
Love that. And I'm excited to hopefully cast over some more of your gameplay, my man. It's going to be a lot of fun. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thanks so much for hopping on here, man. And good luck with the rest of your stream. And I'm sure we'll talk more soon.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, absolutely, my friend.
Bye.
Honestly, here's the thing that I loved about Crowder the most. He was succinct, but also went to great lengths to give us every detail of the
He answered a lot of our questions before we asked the questions. And yes, you're right. He has been by far our most succinct, but like information dense answers we have received from anyone.
No, I totally agree. It was brilliant. We talked probably the least that we've ever talked on the podcast, and that was a good thing, right? that was awesome. Well, hey, before we do anything else, it's really important. We got to jump into this like nearly immediately. And thank you for everyone tuning in across everywhere, all over the different platforms. The open qualifiers for the CDLR, Katie. CDLR split 2. It's on Fortune's Keep. The open qualifiers are live in game right now. It's really important for a number of reasons. One, that's super cool. CDLR is going to be super sick, and I'm excited for it. But two, Kolosseum, our sponsor, exclamation point Kolosseum in the chat, exclamation point sponsor, our sponsor, they're running a Fortune's Keep CDLR open $300 prize pool right now for free on their site. So go check out Kolosseum right now. They're part of the reason we're able to do this podcast. We do what's called the Kolosseum Stat Chat every single week, and we're going to do that today as well. Let me see if my overlay's carried over. Boom. We are already locked in. What we do with Kolosseum every single week is we go over stats over the last week because they keep track of them for us, which is super cool. And if you didn't know who Kolosseum was, they're a daily Warzone streamer fantasy site where you can actually go in with it gives you kind of a salary cap, and you create your own team based on the prices associated to the different streamers. They gain points just like any other fantasy sport that you've played, and you rack up those points and you can win, and you can win pretty big, especially right now. Now, I got to say this, and we'll go through some of these stats. That Fortune's Keep CDLR Open tournament is going on right now, and the entries closed in literally 10 minutes. Okay, so I'm gonna.
So right now, if you are doing this and it's free right now, go.
Exactly. I just put the link in the Twitch stream where we are currently streaming our perspective. You can go check it out. It'll take you right to the link you need to be at. There's also a FRIDAY freebie tournament going on. So you can actually enter into 2 tournaments in a span of about 3 minutes where you could potentially walk out with the lion's share of like $450. It's crazy. There's a lot going on over there with Kolosseum. They've been killing it recently, and we're so happy to be partnered with them. So let's quickly go through the stat chat though while everybody else is checking out those featured tournaments. Over the past week, there has been a lot of things going on. People played the beta that recently closed. We're still dropping absolute metric bombs on the timeline. Katie, look at these numbers. This is crazy.
I think they could pump those numbers up. I'm not going to lie to you. The fact that Almond didn't hit a 60 bomb, I'm frankly disappointed. Look, I don't know if it's just him getting older or what. Maybe he's just not the guy he used to be, but 58, man? Come on.
That's disrespectful. Almond with
let's be real. That's filthy. It's gross, but like sometimes I got to come at it from an unexpected angle to keep things fresh, you know?
Sure. Well, for our audio listeners, Almond dropped a 58 on Call of Duty this week. Watch Waldo had the highest at 47 kills on Fortune's Keep. Prepping for this open, I am sure. And Knight dropped to 49 on Rebirth. Those are the top kills of the last week. And as we can continue to go down, our fantasy streamers, based on the points that they accrue from kills, deaths, or otherwise, Stukawaki actually led the last week with 706 fantasy points. Skillman in second at 684. Shifty in third, 682. Almond at 680. Wag back on that list as per usual at 676. And Huskers, always around town. You find him at the bottom or the top of the list. It doesn't matter. He's always there at 664. Those streamers usually cost a lot more, by the way, on your salary cap if you're trying to pick them up, but it might be worth it. We'll keep going on some of these. Yeah, Katie, take us through some of these numbers. These are just kind of basic numbers that kind of span a couple different categories, and again, some names that we oftentimes see on these lists.
Yeah, magnificent, already talked about, but 95 victories, which is extremely impressive. The one that always stands out to me is anytime you get a high victory streak. So you take a look at Apathy and Slack. They are a duo. They play together all the time, but they had 18
in a row.
Which is also in a row. Like
Yeah.
that is so impressive, especially considering the skill-based matchmaking that they are playing within is not going to be conducive to an 18 game streak. So that's extremely impressive. Stellar Moves had an average placement of 3rd place. Watch Waldo again here with average kills of 20, and then Knight with total kills of 2,200.
That's a
They
lot.
have been grinding the last week.
2,200 kills in a week. Somebody try to beat that for next week, please. Insane. Well, there's one more thing we do with them, an over-under, and Katie's still ahead, unfortunately. We take a look at some of these, and
Did we do them again recently?
wait, didn't we skip?
Oh, we
I don't
skipped.
remember.
I was gonna say we skipped because of CODNext.
Oh yeah, it was all CODNext. It was all Modern Warfare 2 beta.
So we
but
skipped.
You can see the numbers here. We'll go ahead and give our predictions for over under. Time played. Last week's was 55 hours time played, and that is between all matches in a week at the highest level. So the person with the most hours played in a week, they had 55 hours in a week, which is a lot. But not as much as usual, to be honest with you, because of the Modern Warfare 2 beta. So 67 is the over-under. Let's go through these pretty quick, Katie. Over or under on this?
Okay, I was initially going to say under, but then I was like CDLR, it's on Fortune's Key.
There's a lot of hours.
No CODNext. The MW2 beta is done. Like, I have to, like, I didn't think about all that at first, and now I'm like, I have to go over.
I think I'm going to go over as well. The CDLR playlist is slightly different, where it's only open during certain hours, but they will certainly clog those hours up with everything they can, and probably warm up for a number of hours before that. Okay, most kills in 1 week. We had some around the neighborhood of 2,000 last week. We saw Gorgo Knight at 2,200 this week. Over under at 2.6 next week.
Whoa, 2,600 is a lot. I mean, I feel like you have to assume you want to say over because we're assuming it's going to be over 67 hours played as well.
Yeah.
But that's also so many kills. That's so many kills. So I wish I had our historic numbers because I can't actually remember.
Deep into the bowels. See, this is how you, if you really wanted to beat me, this is how you would beat me. Is you would,
I know.
You would do a
but
statistical
I don't have
analyst.
access to that, and I just go with my gut. So I feel like if I went over with the first one, I gotta go over with the second one.
Okay, so you're gonna go over on 2.6 thousand kills.
I don't feel good about this one the way I felt good about this.
I'm going under.
Of course you are.
Most executions in a week by a single player. Last week was 40. Over under 32 executions.
By a single player?
Yeah, in a week. Is somebody gonna go for those executions a ton, or is it just gonna kind of happen?
What person is going for 40 executions a week?
Who knows? OP marked.
Fair. I don't know. I feel like I just have a feeling I'm going to be saying over for all of these. Because again, there's just so many more people. This is all I'm saying over.
I'll go with over as well. And then final stat, most victories over the course of a week. Last week's leader was 95, which is crazy. That is very, very high. Like people put in time for that. That is an anomaly, to be fair. So our over under this time around is 75, and you're saying over.
I mean, that's all people are going to be playing.
Yeah, I will take you. I will take the over as well. Yeah. We will catalog to see who takes away most of the wins here, and if maybe I can even the playing field there with Katie. But hey, final word, please go check out Kolosseum. That competition. Yes. Both of those competitions are live for another 5 minutes. Exclamation point sponsor in the chat. You can just go to Kolosseum.co, I believe, is the website. Also, you can enter the code BOTLOBBY to enter into some of their paid contests. But they have 2 free ones going on right now. Fortune's Keep open playlist for CDLR, as well as a Friday freebie. They have been amazing to work with. We hope to continue to work with them in the future. Now, Katie, this is the podcast. Some maybe new people are tuning in for the first time. Maybe you found us on YouTube. Maybe you found us on Spotify. Maybe you're watching live on Twitch or otherwise. You're just chilling in Twitter. But our final section of the podcast is the Shitters Digest. And I think it's time. We haven't done this in a while.
There's a lot of shit today,
There is a lot. There's a lot, but it's also like, there's only so much we can talk about for it, but there's like a lot. You know what I mean? It's this weird little conundrum there. But I feel like we should describe what this is, this segment, because look, Shitters Digest, the name, it's iconic. The reason we call it this is because Shitters, aka you, aka us, to be very clear, people like to throw things up on Twitter all the time, and there's a lot of drama that gets caused by Shitters, like Katie and I, and probably you if you're listening.
I have never caused drama once in my entire life.
Oh no!
And I don't appreciate that reaction of disbelief.
I can't. That killed me. Anyways, this is the digest. This is like the magazine. We get to talk through some of the drama without trying to cause any more ourselves. Just talk about it from a factual standpoint. What's true, what's not true, what's alleged, and what's not alleged. And there's a couple things that came up this past week. One hits very near and dear to my heart, Katie. So I'd like to take the lead on it if you don't mind.
Take it away.
There is an underground, not only betting, but also rigged betting system in our Warzone community. Is anyone surprised? No. Literally zero.
Really shocked.
But Tommy and others kind of rooted out some sort of a Discord, essentially, where side bets were taking place, which is something that everyone knows about. What that is, if you're unfamiliar with the term, 2 people might be wagering or 4 people might be wagering, where they put up money for themselves and they play in a best of 3 or best of 5 2v2 kind of like mini tournament against themselves, and the winning team takes the pot. And then there's other people on the sideline that aren't competing, that are watching, and they want to bet on who they think is going to win. So they're placing side bets. That's where that term comes from. And which is
side
fine.
bets can be a lot of things. Side bets aren't just for win or loss. It can be by how much you win or how much you lose or the amount of kills. There can be so many things.
Yeah, and if you're into the betting world, then this is nothing new to you. Like, you know what this is. But the problem is there is something called stream sniping, and there are a lot of people that were rigging their side bets by ruining the competition going on whatever they were watching. So I'm going to use a few names for an example, not the people that are stream sniping, but people that are playing. Let's say it's Brawlic and Exact, which were kind of main players in these conversations of people that get stream sniped a lot in wagers, versus, let's just say, Tommy and Almond. And you're going into a side bet and you're saying, I've got, let's say, $50 on the fact that, let's just use Tommy and Almond winning this side bet. Brawlic and Exact might go up, and then you're hitting up your buddy, or you're just using your other account in PC to log in and try to stream snipe into the lobby, get in the same game as the wager going on, and then kill Brawlic and Exact to make sure Tommy and Almond win. Tommy and Almond didn't tell you to do that. You're making money on the side because you're putting it up. Well, the problem was, not only is that a problem, stream sniping in general, but also there were people in the community that play in tournaments, that play in wagers, that were doing this to make a couple extra bucks. And not like $1, Katie. We're talking like 10 G's out of like rigged side bets.
No, it's a massive problem. It is possibly the most obvious problem of all time. Match fixing is a massive problem in the broader esports and gaming arena already, and it has been for many years. Counter-Strike is a great example of that. Even S&D wagers have had this as an issue. People, when John does his S&D 8, people will constantly have side bets on everything under the sun. So when you see public matches like this, it was not a if, it was an absolute when, and it's probably been going on for far longer than this. And it's something that people don't like to talk about because they don't want to think that people they know would do that, and they don't want to think people would do that in general, but it's easy cash. And it's usually entirely anonymous, so you don't have to feel guilty about it. Or if you do, it's really easy to just tuck that away in the back of your mind and not think about it. When I saw when those kind of revelations start coming out, it was just it was just depressing, because it was like, of course this was going to be a thing, and it comes at a equally inopportune time, because I think the Call of Duty community in general is already rife with distrust and suspicion. And you add this on top of it, and it's just
pain.
I think the pain and the foundation of trust and reliability has been shattered.
Yeah. Final note from me on this, and allegedly, I will use this word out loud. Allegedly, two of the main people, if not the only people that were kind of leading this charge, were folks by the name, I'm going to use their name because I hate this for a number of reasons, even personal reasons. Naftix and Meeks. Who are, if you don't know who they are kind of like wager players and tournament players.
We've cast them.
Well, this is the worst part, Katie. I have vouched for Naftix in a tournament to get him into a sizable tournament. And so this
That's
is like,
tough.
yeah, and this is like, again, innocent until proven guilty to some degree. Those names have come up multiple times and are very obviously a part of this. And if they can prove otherwise, fantastic. And I will make a public statement from my side on the podcast about it. But Naftix in general, man, I have vouched for this kid to get in tournaments. And then he's doing this scummy stuff. It's like that puts my integrity on the line. Like, I trusted him enough.
Oh,
And we've
absolutely.
had a number of DMs together about like talking about Warzone and like it blew my mind and also made me want to, you know, people, I swear every content creator has tweeted out like, oh, keep your circle tight. The snakes are out there. But like, literally, that's how I
But
felt.
they are.
I wanted to tweet it and I was like, oh, I'm not going to be that ironic. Instead, I tweeted along the lines of like, I'm not going to be vouching for a lot of people anymore. Like, I can't trust anybody.
Well, you can't. It breaks. That's what I
Yeah.
said. The foundation of trust has been shattered, and it inherently makes us suspicious and not aggressive, but we are so much more hyper aware of everyone now, and you can't take what is given to you at face value.
Yeah.
You have to look at it as, am I being used? Is this person trustworthy? What happens if I vouch for them? If I like, so much of esports is paying it forward.
Yeah.
People going out on a limb to vouch for you, and then you pay that forward by doing that for future generations of people to get them into a place to succeed. This destroys the ability for people or the desire for people to want to pay it forward anymore. As you said it, right? How can GOJJ, how can you now trust an up and comer who is friendly to you and you want to put them on? Maybe there's an extra spot in a tournament, but now you're always going to sit there and say, I've been burned before. And here's the thing, guys, it's not just about your own personal feelings on the topic. It's the fact that it directly negatively impacts you in the eyes of the people you vouched to, because they will turn around and say, you sent me this? Like, why would I trust you anymore? And it just causes so many problems.
Yeah, no, and like there is such a kind of ladder climbing mentality in general and kind of in business in general, but in gaming in general as well. But it's even amplified in gaming because everybody's trying to make a buck, and money certainly influences a lot of decisions in general life. But it's super frustrating. And like you said, I think you said it perfectly. Like it is this kind of pay it forward mentality a lot of the times where, like, for instance, like I have been helped in numerous ways, like propped up, really set up for success, advice given by people like yourself, Katie, who have a lot more experience than I do from the casting side.
I wouldn't rep you, bro. I don't know about all that.
Okay, fair. But and like I'll use some other names. Like I Hold Shift has really put me on in a lot of ways early in my career, give me a ton of advice. And so when people like other like up and comer casters, like not that I'm some big wig, but like some up and comer casters that haven't done really hardly any gigs or not a lot of gigs, even specifically in Warzone, ask like, hey, what does this look like? Is there things I can improve? Like I always try to answer those because if people didn't answer those for me, I wouldn't be here today, right? But then from the player side, it's like having stuff like this. It's just it hurts so bad. So, anyways, we kind of beat that horse pretty hard. And we'll move to the next topic. But that was a frustrating one for me this week.
Yeah, I mean it's understandable too because it hits very close to home, as you explained. So our next bit, and
I know. We don't even want to bring it up.
You know what really grinds my gears, GOJJ?
What is that,
All
Katie?
this relevance grasping, egotistical, desperate for impressions shit around Nadia. Like, I'm so tired of it. And it looks like there's no end in sight. Enter Doug stage left.
Let me pause you, and then I'm going to let you continue, because let's be very clear. We have talked about Nadia the last 3 podcasts or 4 podcasts in a row, and nearly every single time besides the first time, we said this will be the last time we talk about Nadia being a cheater or not being a cheater, and then we continually have to come back to it because it's something that
it's not even Nadia at this point.
She is only trending. She is always trending. She is inevitable. It's the most chaotic thing anyway. Okay, go ahead.
Nadia is inevitable.
Nadia is Thanos.
I wish she could snap all these people out of their bullshit, but hey, I don't think she has that power, unfortunately. But all right, so
Just
Doug
quick
Censor
recap.
Martin has decided, for I would say it's an unknown reason, but I don't think it's an unknown reason, because if you sit and think about it for more than 30 seconds, it becomes pretty obvious. But for some reason, Doug Censor Martin has decided to enter the ring as detective extraordinaire. on all things Nadia and S&D at this point, Warzone, who fucking knows? But let's be clear about what this is. We just said it. Nadia is constantly trending from anywhere from 14,000 to 20,000 plus tweets. She is constantly here. She had like 10,000 viewers at CODNext. She is constantly hovering at like 4,000 plus viewers now. She has taken what is a objectively shitty situation for her and turned it into something amazing, and she's doing the best she can with it. And
Incredible.
That's super awesome.
Blowing it away right.
But sorry, do you want to go?
No, you got to keep going because I have so many thoughts. It's fine.
And there's blood in the water, people. All right, the scavengers are out because they see this. They see all of these impressions. They see this blow up and they say, I want to grab onto this rocket too and be taken to the moon. But this is not Dogecoin, people. There is no to the moon here. And Censor said, you know what? You know what I'm really good at? Revealing that people are cheating. Which I don't think he's ever done before. Don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. But now this has whipped itself up into this whole thing. There's been screenshots of DMs and everyone. Jake Lucky's getting involved in ninjas tweeting about it. And let's be clear. This September, there have been no discounts on gifted subs until the last 5 or so days of September.
Right.
And so you're telling me that someone is going to randomly decide to be the new detective in town right as gifted subs are discounted, right at the end of September.
Jeez.
They go on Twitch, they proceed to show absolutely nothing of consequence and get a 700 sub trade. Do not tell me that this is not just about making money. Do not tell me you actually care, because I'm sorry, you don't, and it's very obvious that you don't. End rant.
Oh, great rant, Katie. Honestly, I was pretty impressed with that one. That was a solid one. I will say two things.
Tried to get it out.
Yeah, or 2 to 3 things. One, not only Ninja, Dr. Disrespect made a statement about it today. Dr. Disrespect is talking on his stream about Nadia. I mean, well done. Like, that's all I can say. It's insane at this point. But you know, one of the things he said was that, like, hey, if Doug's saying she's cheating, which he never said technically, but if Doug's saying he's cheating, I believe him or something. Because somebody asked Dr. Disrespect, what do you think about Nadia? Like every streamer, people in Apex, there's Apex streamers, Lulu Lovely streaming, and people are going, what do you think about Nadia? Do you think she's cheating? And she's like, I don't know. Like,
people come in and be like, what do you think about Nadia? I'm like, what do you mean? What do I think about Nadia? Like, what?
But at the same time, basically the background context on this is that Doug apparently is working with some like hacker mans or something that has gotten into like the database of engine owning or some garbage, and was able to like basically run a like program that spits out names, Activision IDs that have been used on these sites is the idea. And was using it.
You can't prove who used the Activision ID on the site?
Well, he was using it to prove that the top people in Vanguard ranked were cheating. And then he used Nadia's name to get people to the stream so far. And then he's saying,
why not? He's
saying that this person that is creating this will also be able to do this for Warzone soon, but they don't have it yet. So that's where it's like weird, where it's like, oh, we're using Nadia's name because this person named T apparently is cheating in COD or something. And Nadia kind of came to her defense slightly that because T was like, oh, I'm going to get kind of like framed by Doug soon. He said something about it. If you could do anything about it, I would love that. And so she sent a message over to him. That's why she's involved in the situation. There's nothing that has come out that Doug has been able to drum up that Nadia was cheating. Let's be very clear about that. Should he be able to? Hey, you know, we'll come back on it, but it certainly
this is not an altruistic mission.
Yeah, it
that
certainly
he is
was
on, and we should not pretend like it's coming from a purely good, good-hearted space, right? And I think you mentioned Tim talked about it. I think Doc talked about it. Everyone was talking about it. Ninja's tweet, and this is exactly how I feel about it, because I've now seen people putting out lists of S&D players that Doug needs to look at, and it got me riled up because John Tupac's name was on there, and I responded. I was like, "This is ridiculous." It's ridiculous.
Yeah, throw Crowder's name on that list too. Yeah.
Throw Crowder's name on it. And the response was, well, if he's done nothing wrong, he shouldn't, I don't think he's cheating, but he shouldn't be offended about this. I'm like, no, you don't understand the damage that you were doing. And it leads into this tweet from Ninja. And I think it is very poignant. He says, I've been around gaming a long time. My 2 cents on any cheating drama with video games without concrete hard proof evidence, i.e. you literally see hacks on the PC or the devs take action. Accusations do nothing but hurt people and cause divide in the community. And we are watching that play out in real time here. And it's, again, it all goes back, Goj, to my biggest concern in this. Look, if you want to be a clout goblin, I literally don't care. Go live your life. You're making money off of it, whatever. But we have seen Nadia get swatted. We have seen a lot of people get swatted. You are whipping up mobs of parasocial viewers who are out for blood. And I am deeply concerned for someone taking it a step too far at TwitchCon, at an event, at a LAN, whatever it may be. I'm very concerned that all of this shit is going to get someone hurt.
Yeah. I as like kind of tongue in cheek and funny as this can be, I totally agree. It is a really, really big point. And not only like, you know, aside from even like dangerous things like that, there's other dangerous things of like mental health. I mean, my goodness, I go into her Twitch streams, like I'll constantly be checking, I think as most people do, aka her numbers skyrocketing recently, right? Like she hit 14,000 subs on Twitch recently, by the way.
I mean, good for her.
Yeah. And TikTok streams, like her comment section, the TikTok streams, like nonstop trash cans. Just, that's all it is for hours, out to thousands of people, hours of only trash cans. And it's like, you can only take so much kind of like, chatter abuse until you can kind of either tone them out completely or it ends up hurting mental health wise. And so, and she has already been swatted once, right? So that this is not like an extreme case. It's like, oh no, this has happened. And luckily there was, it didn't turn into something that was super dangerous. So
I just be careful what you are using to gain an advantage. And that is applicable to whatever you want in life, but just look at a moment like this and understand that if you are choosing to engage with this in a way that continues to stoke the flames, there could be very real consequences to that for other people.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people are, because it's not fun. No one wants to talk about the darker parts of these things. But I just would really hope people would be considerate of what could go wrong.
Yeah, no, totally agree. It's a great point and a great place to end as well. This has been Shitter's Digest. This has been Crowder. It's been a blast. We've recently just hit 300 subs on YouTube. So thank you guys so much for the support. It's been like a little bit of a slow grind, but a good one. We've really had a ton of fun laying the foundation for what's to come with Warzone 2 and this podcast. So thanks for supporting the Bot Lobby podcast. Wherever you find us, wherever you like us, wherever you follow, subscribe, or otherwise, all of that helps. So continue to check out all of our content coming down the line as we will continue spitting those out. I'm GOJJ. This is Katie. Any final words, Katie? Things you're working on? Anything you want to tell the public before we sign this thing off?
I can tell them something for both of us. We will both be at TwitchCon. We'll be talking about COD. We'll be having a lot of fun in the booth together. I'm very excited. So obviously, if anyone we know, any of the folks who enjoy the Bot Lobby are there, hopefully come find us. We would love to say hi. But that's really it on the horizon is TwitchCon right around the corner. And then I'm going to Halloween Fright Nights, Universal. Very, very excited to hopefully get terrified out of my jorts, you know?
Sure. Respect
I don't
the
own
jorts.
jorts, but if I did, I'd be scared.
You definitely should. Yeah, same thing. I'll leave it at that. Come see us at TwitchCon. I should be able to make an official announcement. We should be able to make an official announcement on Twitter about where we'll be at TwitchCon. We are specifically working something, which is sick, but also just kind of lingering around, hitting the mixers and all that jazz. So if you see us, let us know that you're there. Let us know that you're coming. If you don't see us, we hope to share some DMs about stories or otherwise. So thanks. Hey, that's it. That's all we've got. Bot Lobby Podcast. It's been a blast. We thank Crowder for everything that he was giving us on the podcast, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.